All right. One machine says we're live. The other one says we're not. I'm going to go with the one that says we're live. And I'm going to say hello. Happy Friday. It's a beautiful Friday here in Atlanta. And it's always a beautiful Friday to talk about small business and small business breakdowns and stuff that's going on in the industry that we think might be worthy of a discussion. And when I say we, I mean like the whole small business trends breakdown crew. At first, I'll say hello to the Chief Technology Officer of Small Biz Trends, Leland. Hey, Leland, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Hey, it's Friday. Need I say more? I mean, I love it's Friday.
Few more hours of work, and then it's just a coast through the weekend.
Absolutely. And somebody who seems to be already starting the weekend because she's outside sunning and funning is Even a Taylor.
Hi, everyone. I am starting the weekend early. Welcome from tropical Cleveland.
I can never get used to tropical and Cleveland being right next to each other, but hey, it's good. I'm glad it's tropical in Cleveland. That's a good thing. Let's see what it's like in the kind of the Northeast with Mr. Ramon Ray. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. And I don't want to be so contrarian, but I do. It's just the weekend, like coasting to no. What if we want to put blog post up, look at analytics, do some CRM, see what our Facebook clicks are Saturday and Sunday? I mean, thank you, Leland and Brent, but some of us, have different lives. And even as like in the vacation, I can't take it. Hello, everybody. Nice to have you all here. Welcome to Friday.
Yeah, we feel so welcomed by you with that.
Thanks,
I
Brent.
try, but anyway,
I try.
And I don't know why he's always the last one I introduce, but maybe it's because he's usually the last one that shows up. Anyway, he is the cold one. He is the bold one. He is John Cold Rice Lawson.
Best for last.
I did not say that.
I know, but that's what you implied. So thank you.
Surely did not imply that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Well, I'm glad we're all here. We got this is show number 3 already. Jeez, we're like cooking with gas.
Time flies
when you're having fun on a Friday.
Wow.
Okay. So this show we're going to kind of dedicate to something that I participated in with the fine folks at Zoho. We did fielded a survey of 1,000 U.S. employees, and we were really curious to find out about their experiences and their thoughts around AI and data privacy, and if there was any impact to their feelings of data privacy after using AI, and more particularly generative AI. So we fielded this survey, got 1,000 responses. The audience is from big companies to small companies of lots of different industries and fields and functional areas. So I thought it'd be interesting, since we have convened the small biz expert crew here, to get your take on some of the results, and also just to get your perspective on where you see things when it comes to the world of small business and generative AI, and AI in particular, and how data is viewed from a data privacy standpoint. So I have a couple of slides that I would like to go through and get your take on some of the findings, and also even ask you maybe a question or two to see if you are kind of in line with the results. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to do that first. So let me go to this slide here. We did a question. We asked the 1,000 folks who took the survey, in order of importance, what are the key things for you to make your technology decision? And we asked them, this could be from your personal use of technology. I'm not going to go down the whole list, but I'm going to ask you about 2. Which of these 2 are more important for you personally when you're going down the technology usage chain? Convenience or data privacy? I'm going to start with Leland. Which one is more important to you personally?
Personally, it's convenience. I know that all my data is out there, and I know that, I could try to keep my data secure, but I know that, if these companies want it, they'll get it. I'm reminded of that story of Target, and they had followed this woman and checked out her
16-year-old girl, actually.
Yeah, the 16-year-old girl, and they started sending her coupons for like baby stuff, and she's like, I'm not pregnant. No, she was. They figured it out based off of her buying patterns. They found out she was pregnant before she knew she was pregnant. And
actually, before her parents, I got it a
Yeah.
little wrong. The parents were getting these emails or seeing these emails that Target was sending her, and they were like, "Why was Target sending my daughter, my 16-year-old daughter, all this stuff about baby things?" And then she had to let them know what the deal was.
yes. So it's like if they want it, they can get it. And so it's like, well, if they're gonna get my data anyways, I may as well be convenienced for it.
All right, Ivana.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. With me, it really is all about convenience. You know, I am in the marketing business. I am lucky enough not to be holding customer sensitive information. So I want to be really clear about that. So the happiest thing that could happen to me is for someone to get into my campaign data, swipe it, and put it everywhere for free. That I think would be amazing for my clients, for myself. So yeah. So, you know, I'm just not in a business that, you know, I'm not touching personal data. I'm not touching, I don't have to touch payment data, stuff like that, you know. So it's not a big deal to me.
Ramon.
Hey, yeah, definitely convenience. I would assume that there's some base level of security for all the things we're talking about. That doesn't mean I don't want to be secure, but I'm going to make the assumption that security is already there, so hence convenience. On the other hand, let's say that I was flying a plane. Yes, I want to be convenience, but I'm also assuming it's secure. It has to be. So definitely for me, it's convenience. That's for sure most important of all the things I'm doing. Security, I assume, is baked in some way, shape, or fashion. And those who want to be mischievous are going to do it and hack it, get it, steal it, share it. It's just what it is.
Mr. Lawson?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can beat that dead horse. It's convenience. I mean, come on, give me a break. We use mobile phones and computers and tablets, gaming devices. Our data's everywhere these days, and it's there because it's convenient. So, convenience.
So that goes along with kind of the survey results that we're seeing here. Everybody, well, the most important one of the things that we asked them about was definitely data security, but there's a big difference between data security and privacy and things like that. But convenience was number 2. Once you got past that initial data security, and it's number 2 by a long shot. I was kind of intrigued that affordability was actually lower than data privacy. I was thinking maybe the cheap factor, like John Lawson, he would probably think even affordability is more important than data privacy. But the bottom line is there's kind of this nuance here. And I'm going to play you a clip from a Zoho customer that I spoke to at Zoholics, who is the chief people officer at a company that deals with health and wellness and medical professions, to hear what she said, because she kind of said the same thing you did to a point.
In my work world, it has to be privacy.
Okay.
When it comes to patient data, there's absolutely no compromise for privacy. You can't put convenience above it. You can't put affordability above it. But if I'm being honest, in my personal world, I don't know that I always put privacy at the top. So if I was looking at technology for myself, it's probably a toss-up between convenience and affordability.
I'm going to stop it here because after this, you're going to hear from a couple of Zoho folks who had some opinions after seeing this.
And I don't think as much about privacy, which I don't know if I will more after this conversation.
Do you think she represents kind of the general thinking when it comes to where data privacy fits in the list of priorities here?
I believe so. And also, if you notice that companies, they often make it easy so that it's easy for them to collect the data by improving the convenience. And the reverse is true too, where they make it extremely difficult if you want to enable privacy. They play all sorts of tricks to make sure that you do not disable something that may put them in a disadvantage. Privacy abuse is the default setting, and that's optimized for convenience. I believe people give up privacy in the name of convenience, and vendors and companies that collect the information optimize it for convenience.
People in leadership positions at companies probably care a lot more about security and privacy, but a lot of frontline workers probably just don't care. Like they're just trying to get their job done.
So you guys are small business owners, but maybe the people that work at small business who aren't owners, who are just employees, do you think they are worried at all about the data privacy versus I want to get my job done as easy as possible?
I think they're worried about it, Brent, but I think, again, it depends on where you're at. If you're at a bank working for the NSA, contracted to go fight in Iraq, and you're running from a spy, and a spy is chasing you, and you have your credit cards hanging on your neck, well, then you're going to be pretty secure focused. You're going to be worried about that. But for most normal people, even as said, she's not transacting in customer data. Neither am I. I have a publication. So in that respect, I'm not. But if I was first foremost something with health and medical records or banking, that would be security first. I have friends of mine who are former government employees, done some high-tech secret Uber stuff. Those people, it's security first, air gap networks, etc. So I think for most normal people, unless there's an exception, it's ease of use first. We just put our data into Uber, hit the little button, and away we go, and nobody cares.
Do you think that will change as more and more people get used to using AI tools and get used to even providing health kind of data or financial kind of data to these Gen AI systems that get thrown in there, data gets thrown into the public? Do you think that'll ever get a point where people are going to throw up their arms and say that's enough?
I mean, when it comes to health, and when it comes to health, military, certain kind of, very sensitive data, there's government regulation. It's not whether public opinion matters. I mean, HIPAA compliance doesn't matter what you think or I think. You got to be compliant because that's an industry standard. So there's certain industry standards that will be getting tighter as we get more into generative AI and see how that comes into the mix. But I think the general populace, and that includes the business owners, really don't care as much. I think this thought of data privacy is so 1990s. It's not part of this world that we live in 2024. It's just not.
And no, you're right on that, John. And Brent, I just want to, in case you didn't see it, but I want to point it out to you. Pierre Dubois is here and saying my comments were the best comments he ever heard.
That's not exactly what he said.
Actually, he did, actually, if you quote it right. And then Karen is here as well, and others are here. So they're saying Ramon's had some of the best comments I've ever heard in this small
Okay, well, I must be not seeing things. But anyway, thank you, Karen and Pierre, for joining us and adding your thoughts. And then actually, you did say you have a terrific example of credit card around the neck and being worried versus just using a portal and going on with their day. That's we'll see how things progress because we're going to be doing this survey over time. But that's interesting. I love this feedback. And Karen actually said sometimes they ask too many unrelated questions. Okay, interesting. All right. We asked a question about how often do they use Gen AI tools, and we asked them, is it daily? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Is it never? What was that? What was the?
Because if you use Google, you use the generative AI tool.
Yeah, but they don't know
that's
that.
What that's what I'm saying.
If they are purposely using, if they know that they're using,
that's the better question.
Well,
do you know that you're using
that's
Gen
why
AI?
this turned into an episode of what Past the Mic or something.
I'm just saying.
If they know what they know, then they're going to answer a certain way. If they don't know, they don't know. Then how are they going to answer? Yeah, we do. So this is. If you know you're using Gen AI devices or tools or services, what is the answer? So I want to ask you guys, give a guess to how many use them daily and how many don't use them at all. Go ahead.
100%.
100% for which one?
They use them daily.
No. It's something like 30-some%, like 32% are using it daily, and like 20-some% are not using it at all. Or maybe it's reversed.
I like 60 even. I say 60 using it daily. That's my bet. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's good.
I've already seen the answer, so I'm not going to.
I know.
I
did review.
Yeah,
I did review.
I did see the answer.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
I did.
Well, I'm glad you guys didn't. And anybody in the audience, Pierre, Karen, LinkedIn user, we don't know who you are, but feel free
But
to
we're off the hook, so I like that.
I didn't know we were on a hook, but that's okay. But if you have an answer that you want to put out, put it in the comments section. We'd love to get it. So you guys are all over the map with that answer. It's kind of interesting. The answers that we got from the survey, 24% use it daily, 37% never use it.
Did you ask how many people knew what it was?
Dude, if you didn't know what it was, then you're not gonna
say. That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you use Google,
no, but come on, we want them to know the purposely if they're using a tool or a service is explicitly because
like
it's a GenAI tool, not because they're using. It's like, yeah, exactly. If you're using that, that's what this question was about. Not to ask you
I gotta get something out there, you guys. I gotta get something out there for the audience and everyone, because y'all did not read the report and you did not look at this detail that I'm going to tell you.
Oh, I like
right, because I always look at this detail when Zoho does a survey, when anyone does a survey and calls it small business.
Did call it a small business survey, just to clarify it. There was 28% of the people who took it that were small business.
Not even. So let's be clear.
Well, it depends on your definition of small business.
Right? Like the biggest, because you'll need this for the context, right? This data will make sense to you when I tell you this. Like 33% of the respondents were from companies between 100 employees and 1,000 employees. Yeah. That's a full third of all the respondents are in that type of an organization. Okay. 10% of the respondents were from like something smaller than that.
Well, there was 100 to 1,000, and then there was above 1,000, and that was where roughly 21%, and then under 0 to 100, and it was classified 0 to 25 and 26 to 100. That makes up another big chunk of that.
Correct, but let's just be clear that it's almost like reversed, right? Like out of the 33 million small businesses, 80% of them have like 0 employees, and 10% of them are in that 100 to 1,000 people. So when you're looking at this data, 24% are using it daily, 37% never use it. These are like big companies. They're like in departments where like, I don't need to use this.
Well, or their company policies prevent them from doing it. That's a different story.
Yeah. Well, we did ask them about company policies, and we got some data on that. But also, I guess we have to also say the definition of what a small business is in the eye of the definer, because some people will say 0 to 10. Some people will say 0 to 100. Some people will say 0 to 1,000.
Yep.
It all depends on what you're coming from.
Says 500 and under. So
that's. But how many people operate with a different definition, even from that?
Even that's why I'm just letting you guys know that the bulk of the responses are coming from larger organizations. I'm not classifying them small business or anything, right? I'm just saying.
But that's not a large organization to some people.
Right.
But can I ask you a question?
Hold on. The one thing she did say, though, which I didn't know, was that 80% of small businesses are under 10 people. Really, 0.
Honey, 80% of small businesses have 0 employees.
That's huge.
So is that so basically, though, are those folks more of a entrepreneur than a small business, the way they operate? No, I mean, are they operating as a single solopreneur versus a group of people working in an organization, a small group of people working in an organization?
Okay, maybe
I think we're going into a little bit of
you're going. The only reason that's important is that look at all of us. We all work from home. We all fit into this category. Even though you could have teams. I have a small team. I know John has a small. Ramon's got teams, right? And yet we're sort of like our own little thing. About you, how often do you guys use AI? I am like in it, not just every day. I am in there. ChatGPT was down for like 2 hours the other day, and I was like in the middle of something. I'm like,
hey,
I like Claude. I'm a Claude person.
I want to ask Karen. Karen, are you a small business person? Because Karen says she doesn't use it.
Karen is an amazing tailor.
Okay. Does that mean she's a
Oh,
small business?
well, see, there
She's
you go.
small,
I
yeah.
love that.
She's an amazing tailor.
I was just telling you who
She's
she is. She's
even
a
a
micro.
tailor.
Yeah, she's a small business owner and she's a tailor.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think sometimes we're in the tech bubble. There are a lot of small businesses that are not in the tech bubble. I don't think we're representative of the overall small business.
Correct.
So even though you and I and probably all of us here live in this thing, because I do all my video editing is starts and ends with using these different services. But there's like the majority of people are not living in this bubble, and they don't have an idea what this stuff is and what good it is. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think in the long run, it's probably a bad
If
thing.
you have a nail salon, if you have a beauty salon, if you have a restaurant, if you're I don't want to get into like financial planning and legal professional services, right? I don't know if that's already starting to creep in. But like to this point here on this data chart, I am not surprised that 37% don't use it. And I didn't go to me that they don't like it, because that is a statistics that I know you're going to get to.
Well,
it's not
the main reason,
it's part of their job, right?
And or it's embedded into the software.
The main reason that they don't use it, at least in our survey, is that they feel like they never had to use it. They weren't instructed to use it, so they don't use it. It's not a privacy was way down there. They weren't worried about privacy. They just didn't have a need to use it.
But Brent, I think
go ahead.
I was going to say,
Leland, go ahead. Leland, you go ahead.
I think that once it starts getting baked into bigger softwares like Microsoft Office, like Microsoft Outlook, to where you can actually say very quickly and very easily, you shouldn't have to look for it. It should be as natural as breathing. Then that number is just going to go skyrocket. If it's going to be in QuickBooks and it makes their life easier, that's going to...
To the point, Leland, of QuickBooks. QuickBooks is already having a prompt that says, I used AI, and that could be just greening it, whatever, but I used AI to write a response to your vendors who are late with payments. That's already a pop-up. But I just wanted to say something, Brent. We've had 3 episodes here. The first 2 episodes were calm. It was cool. It was nice. This is like ESPN, people arguing over how somebody hit the ball. It's like The View.
Wait a minute. I challenge you, because I know you don't watch ESPN.
Brent, come on,
Don't
Brent.
forget that. You
Easy with me, Brent. Easy.
Guys, here's one thing. Now.
See how John just cut in just like this? He didn't say,
I have to,
excuse me.
because
He
y'all
didn't
are
raise his
talking
hand.
about football, which starts this weekend. But
started last night, by the way. I watched the games.
But here's the thing. I guarantee you guys, none of these folks, if they're using just a CRM system, they're actually using Gen AI.
Sure.
Because taking a CRM system and grouping it based on location is being done with generative AI. A lot of the tools that we use already have it. Just the fact that we're able to break it out now and have an interface with a chat GPT where we can actually build stuff in it is new to a lot of people. But the concept of generative AI is not all that new.
I would say that the actual concept of AI is decades old. This generative AI that kind of came to the forefront less than 2 years ago is relatively new when you take that into consideration.
The front user interface.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's the new part. There's a new part to this thing.
That's not new. It's just an interface.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah,
that's not new.
Look, Brent, let me just say this, okay? Now you get it out.
You can watch more of this at 5 p.m.
But yeah, right. But
he'll be gone soon. He'll be gone soon. So let him talk.
Only 6 minutes to go.
I can't with you people. Why?
Go ahead, John.
Count down the minutes.
But I'm just saying, if I come out with a new phone, it doesn't make phone communication brand new. I mean,
it just revolutionizes the way we communicate, like the iPhone did when it came out. There's a lot of delineation.
I will say that. That's what's going to happen. Generative AI does not exist until iPhone 16, 17, whatever's coming out in 2 weeks. That's when generative AI will actually exist.
Apple is too late.
That's a good point, John. You know what? That's a good example.
It is.
And everybody, you know, the what is that? The Jeffrey Moore, right? It's those of us, and even we're not early, even, but let's pretend we're early adopters.
Right.
Once it gets in the iPhone, our grandma was going to be like, you know what? I wanted to do cookies, and it automatically gave me.
Look, Apple already blew their opportunity because they came out with Siri, 11, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
It's coming back.
Anyway, let's go to Karen's comment, because I like this. She's saying she doesn't use it because she doesn't know about it. She goes to classes. She knows about the stuff, but just don't use it. Don't need to. I'm more verbal with my customers. And I will say to you, Karen, that's great for now. I would love to know your answer to that 5, 6, 7 years from now. Because I think it might evolve from time.
If she's having people, for her case, to even as point that we're in a bubble, there may be some industries, again, we can all use it, quote unquote, but there could be some industries, you making $150,000 a year, you got a steady pool of customers. Hey, Karen, can you come back and measure me again and give me a new suit? She maybe.
And what she might do is, because remember that app that came out years ago that took you took pictures of yourself and it got the dimensions? No, it's an app that
Amazon thing.
Yeah, you would. Well, actually, there was a company, and then Amazon did.
I know what you mean.
But you would take pictures of yourself from different angles, and it would get your measurements.
Sure.
And then it shaved down the time of doing it. I think even if you don't use all of what GenAI has, you're gonna eventually evolve and use some of it, because what somebody used to say, a chatbot or AI won't replace you, but a person using it might. And I think that's kind of the long and short of where we're going with this at this point.
Sure.
Boy, this is great. John, you do have 4 minutes. I'm just keeping tabs for you.
You're counting down?
Yeah.
You get the last word before you bounce, and then we just going to talk like when you're not here.
All right. Here's another question. Since I know Ramon and John didn't see it, and I'm guessing Leland and Ivana did, but Pierre and Karen also feel free to, and LinkedIn user, can't forget LinkedIn user. We did ask them what the impact of GenAI was going to be on their job. And there was a positive, there was a negative, there was nothing. If you had to guess, how many people said, oh, GenAI is going to have a positive impact on what I do? What?
Go ahead, John.
70%.
Yeah, I think most people think it's not going to have a positive impact, but they're wrong.
So what percentage would that be?
Yeah, that percentage. Yeah. That.
See, this is,
I was right. That's exactly what I said.
Well, you said 70%, John. You're kind of close. I mean, it's not terribly far off.
Okay.
But it's out. Are you surprised that it's that positive? Because it's a little over 2 to 1, positive to negative. So did you think it would be more positive, maybe less positive, or this is about the right number for where we are right now?
I think that's good. Actually, I think it's more than I thought, because there's a lot of fear factor out here. So,
Ivana, Leland?
Well, when it comes to technology, I mean, companies are always looking for ways to reduce headcount. I mean, McDonald's did it with the little self-serve kiosk thing in order to cut down on the number of employees that were up on the front counter. And so I could imagine that companies will go, oh, if I could replace you with generative AI, I will. And then they'll regret it because it's not quite at where they need it to be right now to be able to do that. But
yeah, I've heard this conversation go on. I was listening to this conversation on a podcast or something, or a call-in show, and this guy called in and he was screaming and yelling. He did some type of real estate stuff, and he said he's already been replaced by AI. And I'm like, yep. And did you know? And so I learned this little statistic. Do you know that there were before calculators, there were actually people who did like math.
They called them computers. Remember that movie, the Hidden Heroes
movie?
No, yeah, the Hidden Heroes, where the lady.
There are people whose job it was to do like more complex math. This was their job. But what I think is, so as I was thinking about this comment, jobs will absolutely positively get eliminated, like typesetters. I actually did my first resume, had it typeset, looked at blue lines. There were people that did typesetting. Those jobs are gone because now if you do get something printed, it's digitally set. A lot of people are not getting things printed, but that doesn't mean that
John is getting ready
the skill
to
involved doesn't go away.
I wonder how many people were replaced by answering machines.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. All right, John, you getting ready to leave. Any parting shots before you take off?
Have a great weekend. It's a holiday weekend, guys. So peace out. Love y'all.
Once again, no promo for 5 o'clock.
You're going to do that.
And get to know John Lawson at Colder Ice. All things Colder Ice. John is the foremost AI expert, foremost e-commerce expert, amazing person who knows small business growth and more. Check out John Lawson. Search him on Colder Ice. He's legit, the real deal. I like him, and you will too.
I got that on recording.
You're going way too far.
You'll get the bill later.
By the way, notice how he stuck around a little longer just so
I
he could
did.
hear
That's that one I had to hear.
So much for him having to go.
Now he's going to be late somewhere else. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
He's going to be late somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Hidden Figures, not Hidden Heroes. Yeah,
Hidden Figures. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. Since there's really only one person now that I can ask these questions to, because everybody else is kind of right. But this is a good one. So we asked them, are your companies using employee data for training their AI? 42% said they are, and I'm guessing that skews closer up for the bigger companies who have the tools and resources for that. But the question we did ask is, how comfortable would you be if AI actually analyzed your work and did your work performance review versus a human? What percentage of the folks said, "Hey, I just want a human. I don't want AI"? Ramon, what percentage would you say?
I would say 80% said they don't want the human. However, that answer comes out, but 80%
don't want the human.
Don't want AI. Don't want AI.
Okay.
Most want the human. Most want the human because when the bots get in, it's like digital tickets. That means everybody's going to get fired. The bots noticed, Mary, you're only working 22% of the time. That's it.
All right. So interesting. The answer was, because we gave them the choice of what they wanted, and they said 39 versus 22, which I thought was low. But there was another. So we asked them purely human, purely AI, or a mix. And ironically, as I was expecting, like you, Ramon, that it would be way higher than that. But it seems like people are actually a little bit more comfortable with the Gen AI doing analysis than I imagine.
I am, because I'm just going to say the biggest complaint I hear about reviews, and I've been listening to this again, this seems to be a topic that's come up for me this week. And that is in the HR circles, people are talking about like bully managers, in crowds, out crowds. And reviews really not like certain people getting away with stuff. Reviews not really being based on skills learned, tasks completed, like the things you were supposed to do. And I got to thinking, and I'm like, maybe I'm a mixed person, I suppose. But I'm thinking AI is really, really good at analyzing patterns, completed tasks. If you've ever watched like during football and IBM does a commercial about blockchain will actually recognize that a task is completed. So I'm starting to think that I might prefer to have AI do the work and be like, this is what the statistics look like. And then the manager kind of can't fudge that and say you didn't do this, blah blah blah. But then they would like literally have to maybe put a performance plan together, or what is that called?
PPO.
No, like on a good thing, like your growth plan. Like this is where you need to go in your career, not like you are a sucky employee.
Not one of those when they put you on those plans.
Not that. But I'm talking.
I guess
about
even
a career plan.
Those who are doing good, even I guess would want it, but to the average worker, the bots that can tell precisely, let's think of typical corporate America. How many times you went to the bathroom, how many times me and Ivana and Brent were chatting. And those are things, right? I haven't been to corporate America in a long time, but just a few times I've been inside.
But you could program that. That's just like a function of programming, like the fudge factor, right?
But I just mean if I was the employee, I would be nervous that the bots would be laser focused and see exactly. We budgeted 4 hours for him to do this Excel sheet. He took 37 minutes.
Ramon,
like
this is what those little mouse bots are for.
Yep, that's right.
That's just you put the little mouse bot on and you just like let it move around the screen.
And there's technology to detect the mouse bot too,
All right, that was interesting. I was thinking maybe it's because AI bots don't have the human element, which is, hey, that guy might not like me that much, or
Exactly.
yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Well,
Yeah.
and AI can, humans can miss things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I even had this conversation with my mom about, like, even in the medical industry, it's like doctors can miss things, managers can miss things, and then it's like, well, I didn't put that into consideration because I missed it, versus the AI has all the data and is actually using it holistically, and you can tune it. I mean, you're not going to make it, you could make it kind of like a drill sergeant. You get 15-minute breaks, you don't get to use bathrooms for your, or you could tune it to be like, don't monitor the bathrooms, just monitor your KPIs. How many tickets are you closing? How long are you taking to do tasks? Is it, we're going to give it a little bit of leeway. If it takes you 45 minutes to do something that should be 40 minutes, we're not going to care. But if all of a sudden we're seeing that it takes 3 hours to do a 40-minute task, that's going to raise some red flags. And that can come into like a meeting with an actual a manager, where they can actually address that and say, look, we see from our metrics that you're taking a lot more time. Let's address this. Let's get you to a better position.
I like it. I think there's a place for it. I'm with you, Leland. I think people miss things. And I also think I thought I was mistaken, but like something like 30 some years ago, I thought that we had figured out that people work within the systems they are given. Employees, I'm an optimist. Most people want to do a good job. They're trying to do a good job. So when you were saying that, Leland, if they notice that something went from 45 minutes to 3 hours, I would not think that employee was bad. I would actually be thinking, hey, what happened? Did the data come in differently? Is the system going down? Like, what's happening inside our workflow system that's created that delta?
And AI could probably help that. And so let's say it is a 3-hour thing. Maybe AI goes, well, they didn't actually get the data until the 2-hour mark. So it really did only take them an hour to do. But because of the person in the chain before them took 2 hours, and it caused this little backlog. So let's see where we could find the actual weak link, and trace it back, rather than just say, well, you took 3 hours. It should have took 45 minutes. Now you
have to get good. See, this is my thing. And you just illustrated it perfectly, Leland. You have to get good at other things. So now you no longer have to be good at long division, but you do have to be better at systems thinking. You do have to be better at maybe some HR planning and working out workflows, or like hiring people. Like, other skills are going to become more important, I think.
All right, let's keep going. This is great. If I asked you, I actually think I already know the answer to this, but would you consider the Gen A tools and services that you use at this point to be indispensable for you?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I'm happy about that or if I'm upset about that, because as I just mentioned, you know how, like, once you got your cell phone, you no longer remember people's phone numbers. I used to know all these things. I have noticed that since I've been using AI to do certain things, I have got, again, thinking about outlining a project or a presentation or an article. I don't think about that as much. But I do spend more time like strategizing. I spend more time, you know what I'm saying? It's like I feel my thinking has shifted and I've gotten worse at things I used to do quickly and manually. I've gotten worse at that, but I've gotten better at some other things. I'm curious how everyone else relates to this.
Yeah. Ramon and Leland, would you say that the Gen AI stuff you use has become indispensable to you?
Oh, for sure. And indispensable in the way of faster productivity and saving time, and to the point about the people who fear jobs, cheaper. But I'm also getting my team, I have about 3 or 4 team members, sometimes 5, to use them more. So making us smarter. So yes, so the answer is yes. Leland?
Yes, definitely. In fact, I was dancing when it came out. I'm like, I'm not the best writer. That's not my strong suit. I'm more of technology, math. That's where I kind of excelled. And when generative AI comes out, and I'm like, it can write for me. I don't have to worry about writing. Okay, yes, I'm on board. I check everything. I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to like what's going out, and it's like, okay, I read it, I make sure that it sounds correct and it doesn't sound wonky. But I was so happy when it's like, that's covering one of my weak spots. It's I imagine that this is how people back when calculators first came out felt when they weren't good at math, and it's like I got a machine in the palm of my hand that can actually do all the calculations.
Yeah. So all three of you, and I would classify myself as saying that as well at this point. So is it a surprise when you see of all the folks who use Gen AI tools and services, only 17% of them said they're indispensable to them. 40% say they have definitely increased their productivity significantly, but only 17% said it's become indispensable. Are you surprised that the number is low, or where it's at?
Nope.
Yeah, it just because it's we use it. We go to ChatGPT. We use these services. We have to leave and go to these services. And it kind of goes back to my earlier comment. It's not baked in as much in the bigger applications. And I think that once it does actually become more easily accessible, it's on your phone, and it's like bring up a cookie recipe or something like that. That number is going to skyrocket.
Any other thoughts?
Even though you were shaking your head.
I'm not surprised at all, because again, look at the response. I can't say enough about that. You gotta look at the respondents and where they are. And I'm so happy that like someone like Karen is here to speak for that group in the small business space, right? I second what Leland said, but I just don't see it as indispensable if you're just like not in a job that requires it. Ramon, what do you think?
Yeah, if you're in a regular job, whatever regular may means, it's not going to be indispensable for me. And I'm guessing that maybe even Leland and even because we're content first people, it's transformed how I'm building zoneofgenius.com. And I'm guessing to some degree, maybe small biz trends, even though they've had writers for years, I bet there's some cost reduction, even the same way. So, I mean, for me, yeah, it's transformed. I can go to scale faster, do more articles and all that kind of thing. And I just want to shout out Pierre Du Bois. I think many of us know him, but Zamana something or other. Pierre, put your name in there.
It's just Zamana.
Thank you. Zamana Analytics. Just want to shout out Pierre's a good guy, been around for a while. The guru. He's been using Google Analytics before there was Google Analytics. Back to you, Brent.
I like that. It's like Ramon is a correspondent.
Yeah.
I'm so used to like flow. Like I hate dead air. So I like to tag people. Then, I just don't like dead air. So.
All right. We're getting close to the end here, but I wanted to go into one of the things that we found when we really dug in. What am I saying? When I really dug in, I guess it's safe to say that, is we looked at the daily users versus the never users to see, what kind of differences we found in the way that they perceive things. So I'm just going to pop this up and let's see. So when we looked at daily users versus never users, 6 times more likely to believe AI will have a positive. I mean, that's a huge difference. 78 versus 13. So, and this is AI. Just generally, their thoughts on the impact of AI, not Gen AI, just AI, because we didn't ask people who said they don't use Gen AI anything Gen AI related, but just their general thoughts on artificial intelligence, at the high level. So 6 times more likely to have a positive, think it'll have a positive impact versus a negative for the never users. Almost 5 times more likely to be more comfortable with personal data being used by Gen AI services like ChatGPT. 3.5 times more likely to feel comfortable with AI analyzing their work performance than non-Gen AI users. So there's something in there that says if you are a regular user of it, you get more comfortable with it, you allow it to do more things. But the folks who never use it are never going to get to that level of comfort or that level of positive thinking around that, which makes total sense, because a lot of these folks who don't use it there are some negative thoughts, but there's also, well, I don't need to use it, so I don't have any thoughts. But there is a significant portion of people who are just averse to using it because they think it's going to take their job at some point. So there's a lot of really interesting perspectives and kind of clashes, because the other aspect that I thought was just universal, whether you're a daily user or you're not, or you're working at a big company or not, they all think that there should be at some point government regulation involved, and or like we're saying 75% across the board say that when it comes to companies using their employees' data to train their AI, there should be some government regulation involved. And the other regulation question we had asked was content created by these Gen AI tools and services. There should be regulation and how the IP is allotted to content created through those. Across the board, doesn't matter if you use it all the time or never use it, or you're a big company or small company, or you're marketing and sales. They all say, vast majority say, there needs to be government regulation involved with this. What do you guys say?
I think it can't hurt. Go ahead, Leland, please join in.
What would be the regulations? I guess that it's like it's easy to say yes, let's regulate it. It's like, but in what way? How would we tamper it down? Like, is it a system in which you can't use this kind of data in your generative AI? Is it something to where, it's like you have to get permission from websites to scrape them before you use their content? I guess that would be the question. How would it be regulated? Because, there's the potential that if you regulate it in such a way, it could all of a sudden kill it.
But just think of this. We didn't ask anything other than that question, whether it should, and 75% said yes, without even thinking, or, well, what's the next level of who's doing it and how's it going to be done and what's it going to be about? It was universal. 3 out of 4 said yes. At some level, at some point, there needs to be, both from using my employee data to train your AI to analyze me, basically, and to who owns the IP for the content that gets created. I thought that was interesting just because there wasn't a whole lot of, well, should we do this or that? It was just, yeah, we don't know what, but we know we need it.
Yeah, and I do agree. We do need to regulate. I would love to see what that regulation is and models based off of that. How would it affect generative AI going forward? Ramon, sorry.
Brother. No problem. Whether there's regulation or some guidance, then it's definitely going to end up being regulation because the government loves regulation. I think something has to be done. Again, just like guns, for example. I'm not talking about gun law, pro-gun or not, but I'm talking about when you use a gun in a crime, there's a different set of penalties than if not. We already know you shouldn't hit somebody in the head or you shouldn't rob somebody. That's a given. We have laws on that. But if you use a gun to rob somebody, that's a difference. So I think AI is going towards there. We already have rules on copyright, trademark stealing, IP. There's all that. But I think now it is, if you use AI to do X and your user uses the tool to do X, what's the penalty? Which is where the big companies especially want government. So I think they want to be protected as well. So it's not murky and just in some random court.
Yeah.
You're the marketer here.
I am the marketer
really
here.
Interested in hearing your answer.
Well, I love this conversation about IP. This has been in the courts. Sarah Silverman has a case out there, as does absolutely anyone, because I could tell it to write an article like me because I have lots of content out there. Ramon could do the same. Anyone who has any content out there can do the same. Sarah Silverman has a case out there because her content was used.
And even to tell us who Sarah is, I have no clue.
Sarah Silverman is a comedian, right? Okay. So she's an artist, right? So you can say that for any artist, Oprah, like anybody, right? If you have content out there, Adam Sandler, people like that, where content is their livelihood, and that content, you pay for that. You go see a show, whatever, right? So there's a case out there that has still not been resolved, and that is still happening out there. So I think regulations are going to happen, but the best regulation, and unfortunately, that's why we have lawyers. This was the first day of my business law class in MBA school, and the guy says, why we have lawyers? And we all sitting there, and he goes, because people are no damn good. If people just did the right thing, we would not have a job. So because there's no legislation out there right now, and I'm going to give a tip for small businesses out there who are working with AI. My tip is this: because there is no law as of today with content creation, if you are creating content, and I don't care what kind of content you are creating, I make it a rule like 80-20, 90-10. That doesn't mean that I don't use AI to help me generate content, but that content is edited. That content is mine. That content holds my brand. That is good advice, people. Best SEO advice was the one I got in 2008 before it was a thing. Write for your reader. So the basics of be a good person, be a good business person, run your business with integrity. Because guaranteed, if you have a little thing in your head saying, geez, I'm not sure, it's probably not a good idea.
And the congregation said, amen.
Well, Ramon and I, we have skills in this area.
Wait a minute. You know, I have done my fair share of writing too and creating content too. And I know Small Biz Trends and Leland has done it too. Don't make us look like we ain't doing nothing.
I'm not. I'm absolutely. I'm not
but you're
saying
an
that.
Analyst, Brent. You're Brent Leary, analyst. We're like even a tailor, publisher, editor, writer, blogger. You know, you're in the room with the warm cashews. We're in the room with the cold cashews, Brent. So it's like,
yeah, well, I am talking to the audience here of small business owners who are struggling to deal with, what does this data mean? What does it mean for me? What can I do? And all I'm saying is, anyone, and Leland has been through this process, Google changes a rule, and now you've got to go through 30,000 pages of content to fix something that you thought was a pretty good idea to do because it improved your rankings, blah, blah, blah.
Well, at the time, it was the right thing to do. Then they changed it, and all of a sudden it becomes the wrong thing to do. Yeah.
But I guarantee you, if you do the right thing for your customer and help them choose you, if you do the right thing to where you're feeling good, like, this is my content. I use AI to help me. We all use computers. We all use calculators. Nobody sits there and says, I did this math problem with a calculator. Nobody does that. You know, that will help you. This is very boring advice, but that will help you in the long run, because legislation will come out. There will be something at some point. So I'm not surprised by the data. I am concerned by the fact that legislation of some sort is going to come around. Why? Because people are no damn good, and we can't have nice things.
Wow. I don't know how to add anything to that, but that was like your second mic drop in as many minutes. Anyway, no, this has been a fascinating conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love that we're able to have these kind of conversations and look at data and come at it from different perspectives and angles, and still, you know, walk away feeling like we're the better for it. So I appreciate it. And I know Leland, you guys did put up an article about the results of the survey. So appreciate that. People can check that out on smallbiztrends.com. And I really like, Leland, how you're knocking out the little shorts there too. I really enjoy that. Although
I want to hear what our audience wants. What's interesting? Did you guys like the data? I love talking data. I think it's awesome. So fun. And also would love to know what topics you guys are interested in.
Yeah, maybe we got to figure out a way to elicit feedback regularly. I don't know if we could ask them to leave it at because most of the people, there's people from Facebook and LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe we need to give them one address or something that we can start collecting their feedback on, because if they start leaving it all over the place, it gets a little hard to gather it and look at it all.
And feedback is important. I think feedback is absolutely important, even to thank you for that. But I think the other half of that is people don't always know what they want. My rundown with Ramon, I don't ask what you want. They come because they want to hear what I have to say. So that's just another thought. I've never told the Wall Street Journal.
Well, you know, we can't stay on topic, Ramon, to save our lives. So if they say that they want a microwave, we'll be talking about something totally different.
But definitely
that we
feedback.
Think they should know.
You know, they may be coming here just to know, hey, what do y'all want?
We stayed on topic today. It was a lot of fun topics. That's all there is.
After John left, it went perfectly well. So.
That's usually how it happens. But anyway, no, thanks to everybody who checked us out. We hope you have a great Labor Day weekend. I think we'll be back next Friday. We're going for 4 in a row. Man, that's is that some kind of a metric that we need to celebrate at some point? We got 4 shows in a row, something like that.
Bring
Anyway.
up the little poppers.
Yeah, we'll get the poppers. But we always end with last words. Ivana, do you have a last thought before we leave?
I gave my mic drop, right? Do the right thing. You can't go wrong.
I like that. Do the right thing. You can't go wrong. That's really eloquent, actually. Ramon.
Yeah, keep hustling, keep working, keep grinding, keep showing up and be a good person. And definitely check me out at zoneofgenius.com, ramonray.com, and definitely our flagship site, smallbiztrends.com.
He's such a great promoter. I like that. Very good. All right, Leland.
I'll echo what Ramon says. Just keep doing the grind. Not in a bad way, but invest in your business, keep growing it, keep working at it, and keep growing.
I like that. And I'll just say thanks for everybody showing up. Like the comments in the discussion here. Be on the lookout because we're going to be dropping lots of other data points from this because there's just way too much to cover today. So we appreciate it, and be on the lookout at Small Biz Trends for that kind of thing. So have a great weekend. We will see you next Friday. Until then, I just sound like Walter Cronkite.